attack, fast fatal heart impact, past painful scars. In fact, I blast tasteful bars and packs. I back up my actions, fact don't ask, grab reactions, jacked attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused, call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose, pick a new silver excuse. I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now, y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember, you're discreet out. Get ready for defeat now.
As I wake up, I find myself surrounded once again, a pile of bodies, and I don't feel hungry. I'm beginning to understand it. At first I didn't. That was the odd thing. But now I do. There's something inside me. It's hungry and it feeds. However, there's also a feeling I get. A shame. Remorse. The first couple times this happened, I felt that way. But eventually I got over it. And, well, I simply just wipe myself off, clean myself up, and take what remains back to base. Now, hello everybody, this is Kirusho here, and yes, from that intro enough, I think that already sums up what this episode might be called. Now, whenever we last left off, Midoriya broke into a CCG prison, and he experienced his first blackout. And he woke up with no memory of what happened, or what he did, until Momo and Eto had to explain it to him. Now, they did also get allies, and they were the ghouls, not the humans. Midoriya tore the humans apart. And, well, this begins to become somewhat of a pattern. Anytime Midoriya is left alone, or he starts using his cognitive abilities too much, then he begins to experience things. His head gets fuzzy, and he'll black out. It even happens whenever he falls asleep. He falls asleep in base, and wakes up across the city, surrounded by bodies. And they come up with another name for Midoriya. The CCG announces a ghoul butcher. A butcher that is a ghoul. People are reportedly just going missing, some from off the streets and some straight up taken from their homes, with signs of forced entry. Now, today, roughly about 1.5 years later, or let's say 1 year and 4 months. Now, Midoriya does wake up today, and it's not really any difference, as he gets the pieces and calls somebody. Now, eventually they do show up in a car, and take these pieces back to base. Now, Midoriya, he is beginning to, experience these less and less. And he's experienced them enough to where they don't really even faze him anymore. He has changed quite a bit from the man he used to be. Everything has just been about survival. That's what Midoriya sees it as. Every choice he has to make, everything he has to do. He is no longer that innocent man he was almost 1.5 years ago. Or almost 2 years ago. Roughly over that time. He has become someone else. He's become bloody, cold, and cruel. To most people. That is what they see. And it's a bit more welcomed, since Midoriya's looser morals gives them more and more wiggle room to do things. It means that they will be able to keep their people fed, and Midoriya's latest escapade tonight will provide them with at least roughly about 3 days worth of food. Now, that is how many bodies were scattered about. But I digress. Now, Midoriya, he does get back to base, and immediately head to his room and take a shower. As he does get out, he does begin to get changed. And Momo and Eto are both lying in the bed. As Midoriya, he slips on his shirts and wakes these two up. As soon as they do see him, well, they're not really surprised. They did feel something happen in the middle of the night, so they should have guessed it was him leaving. They could try and stop him, but last time, yikes. Now, but that is really the least of their problems. If they try to stop him, they might cause another scene again. And the CCG will probably be more intrigued at a ghoul sighting at a warehouse, especially on this side of town. Now, but this part of time is not really important for Midoriya and the ghouls. Let us cut over to the CCG and Detective Katsuki. She has woken up in her quarters, and she is very nervous. The study on ghouls and, well, hybrids. In the last couple years, the CCG have been making them. They've made them out of standard humans without quirks, and very dedicated detectives. Some of their experiments are good, usually, but yikes. Sometimes it does not end well. Depending on the person, depends on what happens. Since they've had a person go completely insane. They've had someone who was a all-around pacifist once turn into a bloodthirsty murderer, since all they craved was flesh. And they've even had some of the opposite effects. They've begun to test out people with quirks. And, well, they're able to do things with people with very uninteresting quirks. The effects seem to be really just a little different. However, they've begun to use the people with weaponized abilities. You could say fire abilities and defensive abilities. Stuff like those type of quirks. And Katsuki has volunteered. Or Katsuki, my bad. And she is going into surgery today. Simply being asked what her last human meal will be. To which she doesn't really have a good idea. Simply just saying, let's just get to the surgery. And she is put under. And implanted with ghoul organs. And Kagune sacs. Now, I do want to say they give her the all-around Kagune. The one at the back of your waist. They've seen the way that the One-Eyed King can use that thing. And if she is going to be, well, offensive with an explosive type quirk, they want her to be able to be more defensive with these things. Since it can provide the ability to create better shields and better coverage, along with the regeneration. Especially if she's going to be blasting away with a explosive quirk. The strain she used to put on her hands and forearms were immense. And she gets put through her first surgery. Now, While she's going through these operations over the next few months, we do have Midoriya, who he has gotten things in order, talked with his people, and gotten things set out for the day. As he sits there at a table, simply trying to think and figure everything out, trying to go over it in his head, everything that needs to happen, everything they need to do. And they head out, eventually getting to their destination, attacking another CCG warehouse. However, they do encounter the humanoid ghouls, or the Quinx squad, for the first time. Now, they simply think that these are other ghouls. However, as soon as Kaganes are deployed and Midoriya sees the one eye, him and Eto are completely shocked. And, well, Midoriya turns into his owl form. And so does Eto. The squad simply announcing that they are possible SS class, or triple S class. And some of the people trying to dodge around and attack these three. Now, I do want to say that Momo has been cannibalizing, or at least has done a little bit. So she might have a half Kakuja at this point. However, I don't want to be that guy and just says, oh yeah, she's an owl. So let's at least give her a bit of a power upgrade. She used to be A class, but after going through more and more training and going more intensely, she's at least a SS class ghoul, meaning that she is a very big threat. However, compared to these two, she is about average. Now, Midoriya and Eto, they are fighting against the Quinx squad. And, surprise surprise, the squad is well organized and well formatted, working together and trying to take down multiple targets at once. However, what they did not predict was these three in particular. In fact, Detective Amari, while he was recovering, once made a remark that ghoul, the alleged one-eyed king, he is very strong. And if he were to have gone all out against him, he possibly would have died. However, he does believe that he killed the ghoul. But if he were still alive, he would be above the triple S class. In fact, he remarked that he would be a Z level ghoul, which is impressive, especially coming from him. Now, I want to say there are roughly about 15 members of the Quinx squad. Midoriya and Eto are really the only ones that are being focused on a lot. Only about 3 ghouls are trying to fight against Momo. However, these are humans augmented with their abilities. They've had their entire lifetimes to figure them out. While these humans, they are still trying to. They are using Quinx weapons, not Kaganes. Only the ones who have Kaganes are engaging the owls. While Momo, she does have to use her Ukaku. And she does at least try and seem like not a threat. However, whenever she did reveal it, she, surprise surprise, immediately blitzed one of these people, and were able to simply grab their weapon and slice into a fellow detective, the one that they had sitting right next to each other. And as soon as she threw their weapon into that person's gut, she immediately deployed her Ukaku, and turned around trying to slash all 3 of their heads off. However, she was surprised when a red detective jumped in the way, and took the blow directly towards his torso. And all 3 of these people did try and fight against her. Meanwhile, with Midoriya and Eto, Midoriya and her are both simply just smashing around, and Midoriya is blasting away in every single direction. Now, along with that, he actually does send a detective flying by simply kicking them. Then I'm going to smash into the ground before jumping off it and smashing into a shipping container, to which Midoriya simply rushes too, as he does feel multiple investigators stab into his back. Midoriya is simply throwing his hands overhead and smashing down onto the container, as he simply tears it in two pieces, and uses it to sandwich a couple of the investigators, before his hands begin to crush the container, and he turns them into a meat pie, before turning around to the rest and simply undoing his kakuja. A lot of them surprised as Midoriya's sadistic smile shows its true nature. Eto thinks that he blacked out, and is possibly going further than now, as the Quinx squad simply rush towards him, and Midoriya reveals a few new tricks. As he does this, he covers his arms in this material, and he simply charges at them. As soon as they do try to stab or impale him, Midoriya simply allows it, them running a spear directly through his chest. Midoriya simply letting himself be impaled, and pulling it directly straight through his back, before just rushing forwards and getting into close combat range. Midoriya ripping his hand directly into this person's gut, as he reaches upwards and rips out most of their organs, as this person spits blood directly into Midoriya's face. And he simply begins to have fun, eviscerating these Quinx squad members. Now, once that is all said and done, they do try and figure out what they are going to have to do with them. And they all do have multiple questions, multiple things to do. However, Midoriya is a bit more angry. Eto, she doesn't really try and think about it, but Midoriya, he has it on his mind. These humans are creating abominations of their species. They want to eradicate us, but they're also trying to turn themselves into us. It is a lot of bullshit. They have a lot of nerve simply just trying to do that. Now, Midoriya, he then at least wipes some of the blood off of his face, before he simply just licks it. And there's a certain taste there, as he simply just wipes the blood off his face more and holds out a finger to Eto and Momo, both of them confused, before they try a little bit of the blood. And their reactions are surprising. Now, with that being said, they do take these bodies and begin to try and find some bidders. Momo simply announces in the Ghoul underworld that they have pieces of meat that will be the tastiest thing people have ever tried. And some of the ghouls that are skeptical, she allows to try the blood. As soon as people see the reactions they have, yeah, it just goes into an all-out bidding war. Ghouls trying to outbid each other for the entire supply that they have, until they got enough money and sold these bodies. Now, meanwhile, back at base a few weeks later, Midoriya is actually pissed off, and he's sitting at the table trying to enjoy his coffee, until he finally gets annoyed, standing up and immediately tossing the table. before just getting angrier and angrier and turning and smashing his fist directly into the wall, his hand going through it as if it were simple drywall, even though it is solid concrete. Now, Etso and Momo are a bit confused, as Midoriya simply just begins to scream out in anger. Now, he has to explain himself, as he simply just says that this is absolutely annoying. They're beginning to do tests on humans to try and make them us. But what happens when they try and turn us into them? Then what? We just roll over and take it? Both these two trying to calm him down, and telling him that he probably just needs to rest. They went through a lot in these last few weeks. And how long has it been since he slept? He's afraid to black out again. However, they just say that they will be there to stop him. They will be there to keep him safe. He has a fear. Anytime a ghoul has died under Midoriya's watch, he feels sadness and shame. Their numbers are slowly decreasing, and it gets like that every day. Both of them simply just telling him that he needs the rest, and he's probably not thinking clearly. Midoriya? Yeah. They're probably right. It's almost been 3 days. And he's just been drinking coffee non-stop to try and help him. Try and keep his mind steady and relaxed. But he keeps going back to those thoughts. What they've been doing. What they're probably trying right now. He wants to walk directly into CCG headquarters and execute all of them. Everyone in the building. But that will not help him. That will simply calm him down for a little bit of time. However, they're simply just going to keep doing this behind a veil. Now, both these two do actually take Midoriya by a hand and explain to him exactly what's going on, telling him that simply he needs to stay calm. And Midoriya somewhat listens to them, as he simply just lays down and tries to keep his mind clear, while both these two do lay side to him, and simply tell him that they will be here. They are not leaving his side. The last time they did, they missed him. And it's not going to be any different. As Midoriya, he feels a bit comforted. It's strange, however. This feels a bit familiar. This feels like something he's done before. And these two are actually calming to him. They are able to, well, tame the beast, you could say. As he simply just lays there before falling asleep. And he wakes up. He can tell that he's conscious. However, he is scared of opening his eyes, since he's warm. And, well, he's a bit more surprised to see what happens. As soon as he opens his eyes, he sees a ceiling, before simply leaning upwards, finding that he is still in his bed, and both these two are still there, before he simply just lays back down, and has the first good night's rest he's ever had, since he's become the new him. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed, and have an amazing day. Catch you guys in the next part.